Welcome to the channel. Welcome to Banter in the Box, episode 46, Game Week 2 review. Busy week this week, not only Premier League games last weekend and Tottenham in the Europa Conference League, but also the Carling Cup second round. And that meant that 20 managers had their best week of the season so far. Yep, I know we're only 2 weeks in, but still, they're moving up. And obviously that means that 12 managers had their worst week of the season so far. And 3 managers went into the transfer market this week. So it's already getting very competitive. And those 3 managers went into the transfer market despite all being in the top half of the table. So in this week's Banter in the Box, we've got the Game Week 2 winners and losers. I've got 4 Game Week 2 winners and 7 Game Week 2 losers to share with you. We've got a quote of the week. Old rivalries reignite. He's out the army now. Paper talk. Predictor challenge review. There were more predictions coming in just before the cut-off last Friday, so I'll be sharing those. A manager of the season update to finish off as always. So the Game Week 2 winners, take a bow. Poppy's players manager Sarah Simons, who got the weekly win this week. She was the top scorer and was the biggest climbers in the table as well, jumping a massive 16 places in the league up to 11th. Back to where Sarah's used to operating in the top half of the table. And she was the Game Week 2 weekly winner, so well done, Sarah. But there were other Game Week 2 winners as well. Great Uncle George Moody felt he needed to go in the transfer market this week. He was one of those 3 managers. And despite losing 10 points for making that transfer, he still climbed a place to 10th. Which is the highest position George has been in the Family Fantasy Football League since the 23rd of May 2019. Looks like it's going to be George's year, finally. Also, Never the Boys manager Jack Hoxby was a game week winner for the second week running. He was up 2 places to 5th in the table. The last time Jack was that high in the Family Fantasy Football League, June 2013, over 8 years ago. And our final Game Week 2 winner, take a bow, no happy endings manager Di Maloney. Spent all of her debut season last year just above the relegation zone. Well, she climbed 7 places this week to 2nd in the table. And Di has never, this is only her 2nd season, but she's never been as high as 2nd in the table before. So they are your Game Week 2 weekly winners. But what's more interesting than that is the Game Week 2 losers. Here they are. And for the 2nd week running, Alexi Lagos, Greece Lightning, the defending champion, is a Game Week loser. He dropped another place to 3rd. It's been over a year since Alexi has been as low as that in the table. Obviously, he spent all of last season at the top. Things not going quite so well this season, but he is only 3rd. But he is still a Game Week loser. And the number 1 rated manager, Arden Diamonds Steve Holmes, fell 10 places this week, down to 16th. The last time Steve was that low in the table, almost 4 years ago, 31st of August 2017. The last time you would have found Steve Holmes as low as 16th in the table. Still just about in the top half of the table, but it's so bad was Steve Holmes' week that even his son, Better Than the Diamonds, is now above him in the table. Only just, but hey, maybe James did get his team name right after all. Joe Hoxby's Linden's Lovelies is a Game Week loser this week. Joe dropped 6 places to 22nd in the table. It's been over a year since Joe has been that low. And returning manager Angela Addis, Norfolk Enchants FC, fell 11 places down to 25th in the table. Over 5 years since Angela was that low. 1st of June 2016, the last time Angela was as low as 25th in the league. And the old blues brother himself, Racing 1895's John Tustin, dropped 3 places to 28th in the table. You have to go back to the 27th of October 2016 for the last time John was that low. Obviously back then that would have meant he was bottom of the table, not this season, but 28th. John's new name, but same results as he struggles again this season. And Napoli manager Lee Poulter dropped 7 places to 29th, his lowest ever position in the Family Fantasy Football League. But the biggest Game Week 2 loser, a former FFFL champion, Jimmy S's under-11s James Appley, was the biggest faller this week. They fell 15 places. They were the lowest scorers in Game Week 2, and it meant that they prop up the Family Fantasy Football League table, and that is James's lowest ever position in the Family Fantasy Football League. So they are your Game Week 2 losers. Now the quote of the week. Last week's Banter in the Box, those of you that tuned in, I did a review of some of the awful team names in the Family Fantasy Football League this year. And Simon Hoxby commented on the Family Fantasy Football League Facebook group. Simon said, "I think some team names are silly. I think your team name should be true to life." Yeah, that is the Big Knobs manager, Simon Hoxby, giving his opinion on what a team name should be. And that is the quote of the week. So it earns Simon a manager of the season point. Well done, bruv. Old rivalries reignite. Now, last week, Benny United manager Mark Benwell sent in a video message offering I've got a life manager, Mops Hoxby. They've been arch rivals for 27 years. Mark reached out an olive branch and offered I've got a life manager, Mops Hoxby, free delivery, because Mark works for Ocado and they're offering free delivery to the over 80s. And he reached out and said to Mops, you might be interested. Well, Mops, who isn't over 80, reacted badly. She sent her old enemy. They've mellowed a bit over the last few seasons, but maybe it's all going to kick off again, because Mops responded to Mark with this message: "I'll take you up on free delivery, bastard." To which Mark responded, "Ha ha ha, did you like it? Great start to the banter this season. Enjoy." To which Mops responded, "Of course, now everyone thinks I'm 80. To which Mark responded, "I thought you was." To which Mops responded, "Fuck off." And Mark rounded off the conversation, "Well, you talk like a youngster." Hope the rivalry continues. I hope that's just the tip of the iceberg and it really kicks off this season, because the Family Fantasy Football League will be all the better for it. Now, he's out the army now. As I said last week, if you've got any interesting stories or funny stories you can share with me about other managers in the Family Fantasy Football League, I will share it in the Banter in the Boxes. Now, I'm not going to reveal my source because they asked me to keep them anonymous, but I got a story this week from one of our managers who told me that Ted and Sam Jr.'s manager Ian Sands is joining the Territorial Army. Now, when you think of Ian Sands, that's the image that springs to mind. Not all action Rambo type figure, but Ian Sands apparently recently joined the Territorial Army, and on his first weekend away, they were given a brief. What they needed to do was set up a tent in a forest where they were completely camouflaged, And to help out Ian, this is what the leader of the Territorial Army sent him. This was the image. This was what they were trying to recreate. Believe it or not, in that picture there is a Territorial Army soldier completely camouflaged. So that was the brief that Ian was given. Come to the forest, set up a tent, be completely camouflaged. That's the objective of the exercise, and this was Mr. Sands' attempt. And I've heard in the last couple of days that Ian Sands has been kicked out or left the Territorial Army, so he's no longer in the TAs. But that was the story that I was sent this week. And I appreciate it. And as always, if you've got any interesting or funny stories that you can tell me about other managers in the Family Fantasy Football League, please share it. And if you want to remain anonymous, I won't reveal my source. Now, next up, Paper Talk. Now, this was the headline in the papers this week. Greeks are fitter in bed. There has been a study by a university that says Greek men are the best lovers in the world. This study was admittedly by Athens University, so maybe they were a little bit biased. But hey, it's in the paper. It must be true. Who am I to doubt? So I sent the resident Family Fantasy Football League Greek man, Greece Lightning's Alexi Lagos, a message to get a comment from him on what he thought of the story. And Alexi messaged back and said, Jeff, a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. This is my comment on the story. And that's what he sent me. So there you go. Well, I don't really know what to say to that. Predictor challenge. You've seen the top 4 and the first 3 of the second row last week. But just before the deadline cut off, we had another 5 entries in. Another vote for Steve Holmes from Nicky Saunders. So that means that Steve Holmes has now got 5 managers thinking that he's going to win the league this season. He hasn't had a great start. Another 2 managers think Alexi's going to win the league. So that means Alexi's got 4 votes. Jack Hoxby and Joe Hoxby both thinking that Alexi's going to do the league and cup double this year. Nicky Saunders sticking it to her neighbour, suggesting that George Irvin is going to finish bottom of the league. Luck Williams, bless him. Luck wears the K Williams. Despite his 2 best mates predicting that he was going to win the wooden spoon, Luck predicted Jordan, the Mad Hatter, to win the league. And he thought Ryan would get the wooden spoon this year. He also picked himself to win the cup. Well, that'd be impressive in his debut season. Mind you, the Mad Hatter won the cup in his debut season. I don't know what Angela Addis is going on about. She's predicted me to win the wooden spoon. Never happened, Angela. It never will. And she's predicted great Uncle George to win the league. Well, that would be fantastic if it happened. And in fairness, great Uncle George has had a good start. So they are all now. There's no more opportunity to enter the Predictor Challenge. They are all the predictions we've had in 12 managers had a go this year, more than we've ever had before. And for every one of those predictions you get right, if any of them are right at the end of the season, you will earn 5 Manager of the Season points. And obviously, this year's Manager of the Season will win £15 million of free tactical gambits to use next season. Who the fuck is that? This was the Manager of the Season question last week, and it was a 2-point answer, but I did say that you had to get both parts right to get the 2 points. There was no 1 point earned for getting one of the parts right. And the two parts you had to get right is you had to tell me which current Family Fantasy Football League manager was pictured there and what part of their anatomy it was. Mark wasn't paying attention, Benny United manager Mark Benwell, because he just sent me the guess Alexi, but he didn't give me a body part. So I'm not going to tell you whether it was Alexi or not, because I needed manager and body part. But 3 managers did submit a valid guess. Finger in Ho Rangers manager Ryan Perrin thought that was a picture of myself, and he thought it was my lips. Greece Lightning manager Alexi Lagos thought that it was a picture of Where's the K, and he thought it was Lux lips. And Megan Hoxlade Chamberlain manager Megan Hoxby thought that it was a picture of I've Got a Life manager Mops Hoxby, and she thought it was Mops's mouth. Well, I can tell you that none of those guesses were correct. So we're rolling it over to next week. So this is what the manager of the season table looks like. Simon going up to joint second after he picked up a point for the quote of the week, but Mark Benwell still top of the manager of the season table. He was the manager of the season back in 2020, and he wants to get his title back after Joe stole it from him last year, and he's currently leading the way. So we're rolling over the who the fuck is that question. But it's still only worth 2 points. What I've done is I've enlarged the picture a little bit to give you a little bit more to go on. So you're now getting 2 points if you can tell me which current Family Fantasy Football League manager is pictured there. It was a pair of lips or a mouth, but as I said last week, you had to get both parts right to get any points. So no points for Ryan, Alexi or Meg for correctly identifying that it was a pair of lips or someone's mouth. But I'm now going to give you just 2 manager of the season points if you can tell me which current Family Fantasy Football League manager is pictured there. Remember, you only get 1 guess per week. So next Banter in the Box will go out next Thursday or Friday. It'll be a little bit earlier because there's no midweek games next week because it's the international break. And on the subject of the international break, I'm possibly going to bring back the Behind the Laughter. Now, some of you won't know what that is, but those of you that have been in the Family Fantasy Football League for a while will know that we've done Behind the Laughter videos before. Who have we covered in the past? We've covered Benny United manager Mark Benwell, Sashamas FC manager Wayne Robinson, Ostrich Bar Stewards manager Steve Maloney last year. We've covered, who didn't I say? Well, we've covered a few managers doing the Behind the Laughter. We've done Mark, we've done Wayne, we've done Steve Maloney, Mark, Wayne, Steve Maloney. Oh, we've done Finger in Ho Rangers manager Ryan Perrin as well. So they're the 4 managers that we've covered in the past with the Behind the Laughter series. So during the international break, so not next week's Banter in the Box will be the game week 3 review, but the week after that there will be no review because there'll be no football because of the international break. So in 2 weeks' time, possibly I will do a Behind the Laughter special. So what I need you to do is let me know who you would like to see featured in that Behind the Laughter special. So for those of you that don't know, Behind the Laughter is where I just profile one of the managers in the Family Fantasy Football League. It's a bit like This Is Your Life. It's all very serious. I give you the facts about their life, from birth to where they've got to today. Just dig a little bit deeper so you get to know them a little bit better. So if there's a particular manager you would like to see featured in Behind the Laughter, send me a message, or even better, put it on the Family Fantasy Football League Facebook group who you would like to see in Behind the Laughter. And the manager that gets the most votes, that's the manager that I will cover if time allows me to put a video together, because those Behind the Laughter videos take quite a bit of work. So that is it for this week. As always, If you've got an interesting story about a family fantasy football league manager or something funny that other people won't know about that you want me to share, send it in to me. If you've got a video message that you want to send me, like Mark Benwell did a couple of weeks ago, always welcome. And don't forget, I offered a couple of weeks ago the opportunity, if you want to have a go at presenting a banter in the box, just film it and send it in to me, and if it's funny, I will upload it without editing to the Family Fantasy Football League YouTube channel. So that is it for this week's guys. I'll see you next week for Game Week 3 review. Until then, take care. Bye bye.